Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're tackling a topic that literally affects every single one of us every single day. Now, usually when we hear the word inflation, we think of one thing, right? Total pain at the cash register. But what if we completely reframe how we look at rising prices? What if, instead of just seeing it as an economic burden, we actually start viewing inflation as a business? So get comfortable, make sure you've got this explainer on full screen in that wide 16:9 format, and let's explore the actual mechanics behind this business. Because as you'll see, rising prices are actually setting the stage for a massive systemic shift in value.
Which brings up a wildly counterintuitive question. Who actually wins when prices rise? I mean, we're so used to the standard grievance that inflation only creates hardship, right? Just this collective suffering where everyone pays way more for way less. But this deep dive challenges that assumption head on, because rising prices, they don't just create losers, they actively generate winners. And to understand how that is even logically possible, we really need to completely shift our mindset. We have to stop looking at our shrinking wallets and start looking at this as a moving current of value.
And that brings us to wealth redistribution. This is the active process by which inflation shifts value around, creating very distinct groups of winners and losers. Now, the absolutely crucial word here is active. You see, value doesn't just vanish into thin air in an inflationary environment. The wealth doesn't just evaporate. It moves. It literally slides right across the economic table. Understanding this definition is honestly the key to unlocking the whole puzzle. It means that every single time purchasing power is lost somewhere, well, it is simultaneously being gained somewhere else.
Now, what's really interesting about this next section is seeing exactly how the business of inflation operates. It's not just math, it's a structural engine running right in the background of our economy. Listen, inflation isn't just some passive economic weather event that rains on all of us equally. No, it's a massive mechanical engine. Think about it. When a gallon of milk or a tank of gas costs more, that extra capital doesn't just evaporate into the clouds. It gets systematically processed and redirected. We really have to stop thinking of rising prices as just, numbers going up on a sign, and start seeing the continuous reorganization of who actually holds the value in our economy.
So, if wealth is being systematically reorganized and moved around, who exactly is catching it? Let's meet the unexpected winners.
As crazy as it sounds, inflation structurally creates winners, and they really aren't always who you'd expect. Think of a homeowner who locked in a fixed-rate mortgage a few years ago, or maybe a massive corporation carrying a huge amount of debt. As the actual value of the dollar drops, the real mathematical cost of their debt shrinks right along with it. They aren't going out and generating new value out of thin air. They're simply absorbing purchasing power just by standing at the correct end of this redistribution mechanism. Their gains come directly from the existing wealth of others. It's wild, right? But hey, a tug-of-war always has two sides. Somebody has to fund those gains. Enter the hidden losers. And this brilliantly illustrates how it's a closed-loop system. There is a direct tether between the two sides. When the scale tips, value literally drains from one side and pours right into the other. If you are a super diligent saver holding a bunch of cash in a basic bank account, or maybe a retiree living on a fixed pension, well, unfortunately, you are the hidden loser footing the bill. Your purchasing power is quietly, continuously being siphoned away to fund the unexpected winner's debt relief.
Let's move on and see how this builds. How does this wealth actually redistribute on a macro level? Let's visualize the mechanics.
Okay, so think of total economic wealth as a giant pie. The absolute crucial takeaway here is that when inflation hits, the overall pie isn't actually shrinking. Instead, the mechanism of inflation takes a little fraction of the hidden loser slice and slides it seamlessly over to the unexpected winner slice. The total amount of wealth remains perfectly intact within the system, but the structural ownership of that wealth, well, that has been quietly and entirely legally redistributed.
So we've seen the big macro mechanics. Now, let's bring it down to the micro level. Where do you stand? Here is the ultimate takeaway for us today. This whole thing is a zero-sum shift. Wealth is actively redistributed. It is never destroyed. And look, this mechanism, it doesn't care about politics. It doesn't care about personal feelings. It's simply financial physics in action. When prices rise, purchasing power is ruthlessly reallocated according to the rules of the system, acting entirely impartially on everyone involved. Which leaves us with one final, stark question to think about. In the business of inflation, are you the unexpected winner or the hidden loser? Look, Understanding this structural reality is the absolutely vital first step in figuring out your precise place in this grand economic shift. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.